What's up everybody, it's Snak Pak with you. We're back in Microsoft Flight Simulator today, and I'm in a Cessna 152. We are taking off from Outlaw Field here in beautiful Clarksville, Tennessee, right on the border between Tennessee and Kentucky. We're going to take off, and I've sabotaged myself because within the first few minutes of flight I should be experiencing an engine failure. And in a little Cessna 152, we only got one engine. So if that thing fails, then we are coming down to the ground. Alright, but an airplane is very aerodynamic. When I showed you guys how to survive an engine failure in a helicopter, we had to do something called auto rotation. But in an airplane, we can actually glide all the way to the ground. So in order to be able to survive an engine failure, you need to know your ABCs. The A is for airspeed. So if you look in the Cessna 152 Pilot Operator's Handbook, there is several airspeeds that you need to learn, right? One of the airspeeds is the best glide airspeed. And for this aircraft, that's going to be 60 knots. Best glide airspeed is going to give us the furthest distance that we can glide without engines and be able to make a controlled landing, all right? Now, where are we going to land? Well, that's what the B is for in your ABCs. B is for the best place to land. Preferably, if we could make it back to an airport, that would be the best place to land, I think, you know, on a runway somewhere. But if an airport's not available, I'd like to find an open road or maybe an open field somewhere where I'm not going to crash into anything, right? Where I can make a nice controlled landing, somewhere nice and flat. And then C is going to be for the checklist. So if you go to section 3 of the Pilot Operator's Handbook, you're going to find it's chapter called Emergency Procedures, right? And so it's very important to know your emergency procedures, right? Not like the back of your hand, but definitely have your checklist out and have it ready to go. So right here, if I have an engine failure during flight, checklist says airspeed 60 knots. Cool, we already established that. It says carburetor heat on, primer in and locked. All right, fuel shutoff valve on, mixture rich, and ignition switch on both. And honestly, when I'm flying in a single engine aircraft, I'm pretty much always looking for the best place to land. If I have a dual engine aircraft, I'm less concerned about it, because I can fly with just one engine in a dual engine aircraft. I can still make it to wherever I need to go. And the likelihood of both of them failing is pretty slim to none. However, if one fails, I wonder why it failed, right? Why did that engine fail? Maybe my fuel is contaminated, and maybe the other one's about to fail as well. So I need to really start thinking about getting on the ground. But in a single engine aircraft, I've only got one, so I'm kind of always looking for the best place to land. Alright, I have just lost my engines. I can hear the engine noise just kind of dribble down there, so I'm going to pitch up, pull back on the yoke. I'm going to pitch up till I get to 60, get my best glide airspeed, and I'm going to set my trim just to kind of hold me at 60 right there. Right about there, should be good. Okay, and then best place to land, I've got this nice open field out to my left. I think that's what I'm going to go for. Alright, so best place to land, A, B, C. C is for checklist, right? So airspeed 60 knots, we're there. Getting a little fast. Carb heat on. Okay, let's pull our carb heat on. Primer in and locked, it is. Fuel shutoff valve is on. Alright, and then mixture rich, it is rich. And then ignition switch, both. Go to both. And that's not doing anything, so we are going to have to make an emergency landing here. Alright, so I'm at 60 knots, but I'm still almost at 3,000 feet. I'm pretty high, right? I can't really land at that field in front of me on this glide slope, right? I would have to really push that nose forward, and I would get to a really quick airspeed. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm looking and I see that is about on an east heading, so I'm just going to start corkscrewing down, and I'm going to try to lose some altitude here. I'm going to have to be careful about this here. You really have to judge how much altitude you're going to lose in a 360 degree turn. But now I'm looking east. That's about where I want to be heading on my final approach course, just to the left of that E. So I'm about halfway through my turn, looking out to the left, just one turn's probably going to be enough here. And the whole time I'm pulling back on the yoke or pushing forward to maintain my airspeed at 60 knots. Alright, this looks a lot better. So check this out. I'm below 85 knots. I'm within my white arc on my airspeed indicator, so I can put in a notch of flaps. I'm pretty sure I'm landing, I think I'm landing ashore here. This looks good. I'm going to start coming down a little more. And I'm going to come to the left a little bit and then kind of set myself up on like a right base almost to give me a little bit. I really want that long axis to help me out. Do another notch of flaps. Now as I put in flaps, I'm having to push forward on this yoke here so I can maybe trim it up a little bit. I definitely don't want to get below 60 knots, alright? Too much below 60. And as I add flaps, it increases the lift vector on the wings, but it also increases drag, right? So it's going to want to pitch your nose up and slow you back, which can kill you if you don't monitor it, right? Too slow is bad. I'm going to add my last notch of flaps, and you can see the nose wants to come up, so I got to fight that. Keeping my airspeed at about 60. Too much less than that, and we'll start to stall. And this is looking really good. So as I come just a few feet off the ground here, I'm going to start leveling off. Gently level it off. And then I'm just going to wait for the aircraft to start stalling. There we go, and we're on the ground. Now I'm soft field, I'm on a soft field, so maintaining my yoke in the aft position to keep my wheels off the ground. Keep the front nose landing gear off the ground as best I can. Keep weight off of it. And I can take my flaps out now. That'll make me a little heavier. I'll start to slowly come to a stop. I don't want to be too heavy on the brakes on this soft field here, right? Because if I am, I'll pitch that whole nose forward. And I'll just brake for this last little bit here. And we survived. And now we call whoever we need to call to come get a lift out of this place. Alright, so we survived a single engine failure in a Cessna 152. Remember, we just used our ABCs, right? ABCs will save your life. Also, understanding your emergency procedures out of the POH, that's incredibly important. I know a few people who have had single engine failures in airplanes like this, and they've had to make emergency landings, right? It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we got a lot more coming out really soon, so have a good one. Snak Pak out.